and say, isn't there something wrong with our system? We might be doing something wrong. We should be finding ways to identify the strength, isolate it, and build on it. So, if you're going to focus on what they do well and what they do right, you might not be spending so much time, energy, and money trying to refocus on what everybody's doing wrong. So we took that idea and we developed this program with it, called the Affinities Program.
We have affinities so you can learn more about yourself and what you're good at. And I think it's a great thing. I'm sure a lot of people agree. It's a great thing.
It's like a spark point. You put what you love to do, what you're good at. Bam, there's a fire. You got it.
It's good if you know, but isn't it great if everyone knows what your strengths are here? So we have this thing called Affinities Wednesdays. And what happens is the girls say, I want to be in this. Then we sit down and we figure out what their strengths are and what their affinities are, what they like doing, as well as what they're good at doing and what they're strong at. And we combine those together and we put it in a presentation in front of the whole school and bring the girl up on stage.
Today, we're going to be talking about Tracy Lehrfeld's strengths.
We asked girls, who wants to do this?
Very dependable.
All of them. Every one of them wanted to get up there and do it.
Everyone has strengths. They are skills we possess and use every day, but we don't often reflect on them.
Girls have said, I don't know how I can get up there with all my strengths and not have kids just make fun of me. And that's what we said, that's the culture change, what we're going to do here. We're going to say, guess what? Claudia's competitive and she's an achiever, and she wants to win the award at the end of the year, and we're going to support her in that effort.
The entire school can see what your strengths are, what you like to do, what you're good at.
We're asking kids to have a whole different paradigm than their parents have or than other people have about how they think about other people. You know the feeling you get when you play a song that you really like and you get that like, yeah feeling? I actually get that from my job. And I think if everyone could have that, if every person could have that, this would be a different world. I want that for these girls.
Isn't that awesome? And as I said, this isn't some soft, warm, and gooey self-esteem curriculum. This is hard work. It's a 4-year curriculum designed to help these girls identify these strengths that they have and to use them. These girls now go on to Smith and to Vassar and to Harvard. Not that everyone should go on to a named college like that, but these girls have something to bring. And for years and years, they've been told they were failures. So as I look around, I don't know about you, but as I look around, I see signs like at Purnell School. I see signs of change, that we're moving from a remedial world to a strengths-based world. And like you, maybe like you, I want to be accountable. I want to measure whether or not we're making a difference. So I've been repeatedly asking that same question again and again and again. Which do you think will help you be most successful? And it's been, 6, 7 years now. So now, after 6 years, this was in 2006, after all this great work, this was the poll in December. Today, this is the number of people in the US anyway, in 2006, who build on their strengths. So it's nice to know I'm making a difference. Actually, we've just been redoing the poll every 6 months, so about 3 weeks ago we did it again for the US. And now here's where we are today. This is 2007. So we're back to exactly where we were back in 2000. In fact, never has one person had such measurable proof of his own irrelevance as I have this year. I mean, this is fun and everything, guys, but we're not making a difference. For those of you that think that you need to put your strengths in play to make your contribution to the world, remember, you're in a minority. Any person you bring on board into your church or onto your team or into your company is probably going to come from the blue bar, not the gold bar. They're probably going to make your team just a wee bit more remedial than they were before. But I tell you what, if you want to know whether or not you're living in a remedial world or you're leading a remedial team or a strengths-based team, you wouldn't just ask what people believe, would you? You'd ask what they do. You'd ask what percentage of a typical, here's actually the question. Let's just put that up. This is the question that we asked. What percentage of a typical day do you spend playing to your strengths? Don't put it up yet. Let's just hold it right there. Just hold it right there for a second. What percentage of a typical day do you spend playing to your strengths? Now, the context for this, right? The context for this is a world in which everybody says people are our greatest asset. People are our greatest asset. And the reason they say that, of course, is the value of most everybody in this room and everybody that you lead, the value of everybody lies between their ears, doesn't it? Your value, my value, lies in our creativity, innovation, good judgment, persistence, all that stuff. That's why you're such an asset. Because if you leave, you take it all with you. You take it away from the team. That's why you're such an asset, because your value lies in your creativity, your innovation, your good judgment. But, none of you are creative, or innovative, or resilient in every single aspect of your role in life, are you? Come on, there's some aspects of the role that you're playing right now, not someone else's role. There's some aspects of the role you're playing right now where you aren't really very creative at all, are you? There are some aspects of your role where your first idea is not only your best idea, it's your only idea. Now you keep talking, because that's what you do, but there's nothing there, really, is there? And we all sort of know that. There's a part of your job where your life where you're wafer thin, or wafer thin, to quote Monty Python, where you're wafer thin, right? And there's other parts, again, a little English reference, but there's other parts of your whole life where you're incredibly creative and innovative, where it's one idea after another with you. Not every idea is a great idea, but there's a lot of them. And we look at you and we go, oh, wow, that's where we can rely on them the most. That's the play they should run. We know where that is with you. Let's call those something. Let's call those your strengths. Shall we? Okay, so when somebody says people are our greatest asset, that's not quite right, is it? What we really mean is people's strengths are our greatest asset. Right? So with that in mind, what percentage of a typical day do you spend playing to your strengths? All right. That's the percentage in 05 of people who say most of the time. That's the percentage in 06. And that's the percentage in 07. And that's a tragedy. I'm not saying this happens everywhere. We've got, I know, a number of people here, 100 or so, from Chick-fil-A. If you go to the best restaurants at Chick-fil-A and ask that very question, there are some restaurants where 83, 84% of people strongly say that they play to their strengths most of the day. If I went into some of your teams, I bet there are some leaders in this room where I ask that very question, what percentage of a typical day do you spend playing to your strengths? And 80% of people would say most of the time. And there are perhaps some teams that you lead in this room where nobody would. But right now, we're at 12%. All of you felt when you were young, I bet, something like I felt. You felt special or unique or distinct, and you wanted to put that to work. You wanted to put your strengths to work. All these data suggest to me is right now, most of us aren't. If you want to know what this whole strengths movement is all about, it's how on earth do we move that number? In a room of this size, it's like this lot over here. You lot, yes, well done, you lot. It's you lot who are putting, awesome work. Everybody else, sorry. We're not seeing the best of you. How do you move that number? As leaders, how do you move that number so that you really do get a chance to see the best of each person? I'd suggest there's two ways. First, as leaders, you could change your people systems. You could change the way you invite people onto your teams. You could change the way you talk to your people about their performance. You could change the way you do succession planning within your organization, your company, your church. You could change the systems. But I wouldn't suggest you start there. I would suggest you start here with self. After all, the airlines, they say a lot of daft stuff, don't they? But one of the truly smart things the airlines say, and they say it all the time, is this. They say, put your own oxygen mask on first before you charge around trying to help everybody else, right? So here's the question for us for the rest of the time that we have together. Are you one of the 12%? Are you one of the 12% that play to your strengths most of the time in life? And if you aren't, how'd you get to be? Are you one of the 12%? There's something special and unique and distinct and powerful about you. Are we seeing it? Are you one of the 12%? And if you aren't, how'd you get to be? Some of you may not be. Not because you don't know what to do, but because you believe the wrong things. I'd like to at least have you consider that what's stopping so many of us from putting our best foot forward, if you like, from putting our strengths forward every day, is that not that our leader doesn't let us, or our job puts us in a box, or some other external thing. It might be that we believe the wrong stuff. Here are 3 myths 3 myths that you need to look full in the face and blow up and install in their place 3 strengths-based truths. Here's the first one. Here's the first myth. As you grow, your personality changes. Most of us do believe that as you grow, your personality changes. 66% of us in America, anyway, believe that. And who wouldn't? As you grow, you put away the stuff that was childish of yours, you acquire more breadth, more balance, more experience, you become an adult. And we love stories of transformation like that. The Scrooge-like story, where people, they start off dumb and poor and they end up smart and rich. We love stories of transformation like that, and they make great stories. But remember, they're just stories. The truth is this. Let's have that truth up now, if you would. Thanks. The truth is, as you grow, you become more and more and more of who you already are. And if you don't believe that, just go to a high school reunion. It's the same people, isn't it? It's the same people. If I were to give you a personality test, any personality test, once a decade for the next 50 years, the most surprising discovery would be just how consistent your results would be across time. There are some small changes around the edges, but what's most amazing about giving someone a personality test over the course of their life is just how consistent it is. But most of us don't need personality tests to make that point. And most of us don't need to go to high school reunions. Most of us have kids. And our kids make the point, don't they? I mean, I got a couple. They're odd. My son, and they're differently odd, and it's kind of weird. They came out different, and they stayed different. My son, Jack, is, Jack's now, 6 years old. But already I know a lot about Jack. I know he's an incredibly structured person. This is the kid that won't close the fridge door unless the ketchup is turned so the label's facing out. This is the kid who, as I'm pushing a cart down the corridor in an airport, and he's walking beside me, I say, "Hey, Jack, jump on the cart. I'll push you around. It'll be great." This is the kid who very solemnly points to the little picture of the kid on the cart with the big red X through it and goes, Also, is deeply competitive. I mean, not in a way that every 6-year-old boy is sort of competitive. I mean in a way when he's seized by his competitiveness, he doesn't quite know what to do with himself. I mean, everything for him is about the score. He learned to read so he could figure out he's an Angels fan. I don't know why, he's a California Angels fan. So he would learn to read to figure out who was winning the games. I'm playing ping pong with him. The first game of ping pong I've ever played with him. I'm 1 minute into the first game of ping pong. And what does he ask? "What's the score?" "What's the score, Dad?" I'm like, "Well, there is no score, Jack. You have to be able to hit it back for there to be a score." Which I think goes in, but then 2 seconds later, it's like, "Well, what's the score now, Dad?" I'm like, "There's no score. No rally, no score." "You want a score, Jack?" 1-0 to me. 2-0 to me. 3-0 to me. Are you getting this, Jack? 4-0 to me. So, kid's going to be in therapy for a while, but my point is that he's not going to grow out of that. The challenge for Jack is not how to replace that childish competitiveness with a more adult trait like collegiality. The challenge for Jack in life will be to channel that competitiveness productively, to find ways to channel it. And I hope as he grows up in life that he does. I hope he finds ways to put himself in situations where he can win. And I hope he stops crying when he loses. But I don't think he'll ever grow out of the craving. I don't expect he'll ever be a good loser. As a parent, I hope he's a gracious loser. I hope he has awesome manners. But I think he'll grow out to be one of those adults who says, "Hey, you show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser." And there are some of you in this room that are going, "Well, that's not very nice at all." And there's others of you going, "Yeah, Jack." Hey? And you know who you are. You know who you are. If you've ever worked with someone like that, who's deeply competitive but covers it with a veneer of politeness, you can have a little fun with them. Have you ever noticed that as you walk down a corridor with them, they're always subliminally aware of being just a couple of centimeters ahead of you? Have you noticed that? Have a little fun. Gradually increase your pace. You can get them to break into a run. Seriously, just try it. Just try it. Here's the point. Jack's values will change. His dreams will change. His self-awareness will change. His maturity will change. His circumstances will change. But the core